Fáilte is go music at Madden Slumsa, Lynette Fay. This is a weekly podcast where I chat to traditional musicians about life and music, and anything can happen. The conversation can go absolutely anywhere, and I don't know why, but I have a funny feeling that's definitely going to happen this week. The podcast drops every Monday. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch on YouTube as well, and please do subscribe or leave a comment and share with your friends if you like what you're hearing and you're seeing. And if you're watching on YouTube this week, well, you might have noticed that we're not in Madden's. We've swapped the snug upstairs in Belfast for the comfort of Canavan's in Garvaghy in County Tyrone, where the first ever Tyrone Tradfest is happening. It's between here and the Ballygolly, and it's been a very, very successful weekend. And it's for us, it's the first time bringing music at Madden's on the road as well, so it's been very exciting, and hopefully it's the first of many trips right around Ireland. If you'd like us to come to your festival, just do drop us a line on Instagram and we'll see what we can do. We were coming to Tyrone and we just thought, well, who could we get on the podcast? And I was thinking, we need a Christmas special. And I think, what happens at Christmas? It's a time for family, and family gets together. And in these parts, there's only one family, one most musical and most famous musical family, and that's the McKennas, and we have most of them here on stage today. And I feel like this could be like what the kitchen table is going to look like on Christmas Day. Wee bit Mary, is it?
Well, there's still two more scamps.
You put the microphone.
There's still two more to arrive. Do you know, they're on transit at the moment, so we have two more scamps missing at the moment, Lynette.
Well, this is Mary and Martin, Mummy and Daddy, and introduce the rest of them to us, Mary.
Here I have Daniel at the very far end there, and Peter, and Eugene, and Sinead, and Katrina, and I think the reason why they sit furthest away is because they're less likely to be asked to do something. So it's kind of a family trait. The furthest away from the parents, the less likely you are asked to be, left with work to do. So that kind of sets the tone. Now we have Mickey here in the middle, who's trying to keep the whole thing balanced, and he's a +1 at the moment. So he's playing his cards right. So you never know how that could fare out, Lynette.
Mary, I love it.
Yeah. So then we're missing.
You kept on your toes there, Mickey, by the way, just in case you didn't know that.
And we're missing Kieran and we're missing James, who are in Boston at the moment. James is working in Boston and Kieran is studying in Boston. But they're going to be here on the 23rd.
Class.
So we're looking forward to having everybody home for Christmas.
And we're also missing another +1 today as well.
Absolutely. I was going to say last, but not by no means least, we have the bride in waiting, Lauren O'Neill from Glenullen in County Derry. So Lauren unfortunately just couldn't make it also this afternoon due to another commitment, but yes, we've exciting times ahead in that, which makes Christmas very exciting.
We have, and there's a microphone in Eugene's hand. Funny that. Oh no, unaccustomed as you are to public speaking, Eugene. So you're getting married, yourself and Lauren O'Neill getting married in February. My God, you hung in there, Eugene.
Oh, the pride has swallowed. I've moved to County Derry, so.
You have not.
Yeah, I have.
Oh my gosh, it must be love.
Oh yeah. And of course music helped that. So looking forward to the big day. We had the stag a couple of weeks ago, and that really set the tone for the events ahead.
Right, okay. So many videos taken?
There was a lot of footage, sadly. Had the 3 or 4 gentlemen around me here were very central to it all. So we had some crack in Galway, and pile of musicians from all corners of Ireland. We all came together and took over Cheat Cody for the weekend.
Brilliant. So. Well, all the best for everything, and for February particularly. Sinead has been on the podcast before, so we'll maybe keep you to a minimum this time, will we? Will we keep it? Oh no, it's like no. Martin's giving you the microphone over.
I'll sure here. We'll start it all over again.
But you were brilliant. What was the feedback like?
Yeah, it's good crack now. I suppose it was good to do it, and it was nice to. Well, I actually couldn't listen to the full thing because I can't listen to my own voice speaking. But yeah, I think people enjoyed it.
What I really want to know is though, what was the family WhatsApp like whenever everybody else listened to it, Sinead, and how much slagging was there?
There's a few complaints now from Daniel.
Oh, the exaggeration on them stories.
Daniel, what were you complaining about?
Can't right remember.
Yep.
There was definitely exaggerated stories.
You have to pull the yarns out of it, like.
So she
can't give the full truth.
It wasn't too bad. It was good to be.
I could have done yours worse.
Made for the stage, you say?
Well,
she's made for the stage. That's why you say.
Don't know now, but
Everybody's very quiet. Very it's like this is the quietest I think I've
Yeah.
ever. Maybe have you ever seen them, Martin and Mary?
It's probably because Mommy and Daddy's here, you see, so the guards are up.
I don't think that would be the case at all. But you just want it.
Well, I'll tell you something now, Lynette. If you had been in Peter's bedroom this morning, he definitely was quiet. I would have took a bulldozer to get him up, to get him out to mass. He kept pulling the blankets back. I nearly had to pull the blankets off him to get him out. But
Would that be a regular occurrence?
that's an everyday event whenever Peter's at home.
Well, me and Peter were just coming back from Japan there, and we stayed a lot. We stayed in this hotel, and we had to get up every morning to go into the expo to play music. And every morning was how it felt. There was maybe, I could count in one hand the amount of mornings Peter actually got himself up. I had to go down to his floor and bang, kick the door, press the doorbell. The neighbours on the whole corridor were waking up, being like, what is this banging match and why is it every morning? And I was like, aye,
Sure.
poor wee lad, like.
Sure, I went to Peter's house there a few months ago in Belfast. He's living with Cian McGrory, guitarist, from County Down. And first thing I noticed on the table was this massive A3 page with huge writing in capital letters. Peter doesn't wake up to his own alarm, so it said, Cian, wake me up till I wake up. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Peter.
So does a lot of this happen where you absolutely rinse each other at every opportunity?
Oh,
You have to be
Yes.
fit to give it and fit to take it now in our house.
So was that learned from Martin and Mary? Was it?
specifically, that man over there.
What do you mean by that now? Explain yourself.
Cheapers. Nah.
This
You
feels
need
like
a backbone when you're around him.
this feels like there's a potential here to have like a like a family mediation kind of therapy session here.
Yes.
That we could just anything that's been maybe irking you or getting you down there for the get it off the chest now here. This is it. Aye, and let's see how it goes. So interesting thing is, right, with 7 children, they all play music, and the music is just central to your lives, has continued. So what was it about the two of you that has instilled this love of music in them?
I suppose, Annette, whenever I was small, I had a great interest in music, but the opportunities to learn music were not as plentiful as they are now.
Yeah.
So my father had a great interest in the music, never missed Kelly House on a Saturday night, and whenever I started learning to play the banjo, I think it was about 16, he was so interested to see us getting into music. So I just felt, when I was growing up, I went to my uncle Pat to learn the fiddle, but he was too busy. He was renovating the house, so that was a no. So I had to come home, cycle to Auchinleck over till Mullinderg where he lived, and I had to go down the road with a tail between my legs. So I had no fiddle tutor to learn with. So I come home anyway, and my father was asking, how's Pat doing? So I had to give him the whole ins and outs of the Cayley. And anyway, to make a long story short, I thought to myself, when our children come along, they'll get an opportunity to play music, because sort of was lost when I was their age,
So then, as you said, though, opportunities weren't as I suppose as abundant as they are now. Whereas now we've got a Tradfest on the doorstep. We've got loads of other festivals right throughout the year. The County Fleadhs is getting bigger and bigger every year as well. But even when the children were small, it wouldn't have been like that. So did you have to go and seek out music? Did you? What in order to give them to get them, or to make sure that they were exposed to it?
Thanks, Lynette. Yeah, that would have been the case very much so, particularly where we were living, because Irish music wouldn't have been very, very, it's not unpopular, but
Yeah.
it just wouldn't have been very commonplace
Yeah.
to have sessions and events or opportunities to learn. So when Eugene started to learn the tin whistle, he was forced. He would have been about 5 or 6, and we brought him down to Sharon McDermott down at Dungannon, because we knew that his cousins were learning there. And then that kind of opened the door of knowing what was going on around us, and bringing them to Kyoto sessions, bringing them to music sessions. then as the other ones came along, and then they all started to go to Aidan O'Neill, a lovely lad up in Dromore, fantastic, multi-talented musician who could take 3, 4, 5 of them and put them in and out of the room and teach them concertina, fiddle, accordion, tin whistle, anything goes. So we were very privileged to have had opportunities that, as Martin says, we wouldn't have had ourselves.
Yeah.
But we were getting these, so we were taking everything that came our way. And then when it came to certain instruments or lack of availability, you were willing to travel. So
Yeah.
on a Saturday morning, you'd load up the car and you'd head down to Breedy Shannon down in Roscommon. And you'd stop in Carrick and Shannon and have your tea and go on ahead another bit, another half hour out the road.
But it seems like I suppose as the family grew as well, and 1 became 2, became right up to 7 when Katrina came along, the baby. So we've got the eldest and the baby here, and then we'll get to the middle children in the meantime. Don't worry, we'll not forget about you. But very important ones. But it seems to me like a full-time job, getting them to school, and then the next thing is making sure that they're getting to all the classes. You're both working as well. Oh, and renovating a house, Martin.
Yeah.
At the same time, also.
Oh, that's right.
You were putting that one right where you could do the music and the renovating at the one time.
Yeah, it was a bit of a juggle to get all that done. Like our family was very young at the time, so I remember the midwife came in one day, and the chapel was in complete renovation, but we had a wee stud partition accommodation at the far end of it.
But we'll have to tell people now, sorry to interrupt you, that just if they haven't listened to Sinead's episode of the podcast, why not? But Sinead explained that you live in an old chapel.
That's
so
right.
you've moved
That's
into
right.
this old chapel and you've renovated it.
That's right.
So go on ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your story.
I think what you were going to say, Martin, was for the first 4 or 5 years they lived on the altar.
Yeah. Slept on the altar. But the midwife came in anyway, and as she was going out, I had to walk her through all the scaffolding and the bricks and the mortar, and she made her steps out anyway without getting injured. And she turned around and opened the chapel door. The door was still a big key in it. She opened the door and I says, "Thanks for calling," and as you do, you're bidding her have a good day. And she says, "Martin, do you realise you must be married to a saint to put up with all this?" She says, "I don't know how that woman does it."
How do you do it, Mary?
I'm still waiting on the halo to come, but so I could be sitting polishing it. But I think the bottom line is the children drove the interest, inspired us as much, because the way that they capitalised on every opportunity and said, "Could we learn another instrument? We want to do this," and their enthusiasm, I suppose, just drove it to where it's got today, because each and every one of them, they tried football and they tried other things, but they all went back to,
Music.
their music. And, strange enough, people to say, did you ever fight? And I know that's probably a question that's down there. Of course they'd have arguments, but the one thing we noticed was it actually kept them very tight together as a family, because, and it wasn't the defining reason, because we thought they'll grow up and play football or do whatever, but they just seemed to enjoy playing tunes together and going to different festivals around the country, getting session tunes and starting to share them with each other. So they kind of developed their own wee niche amongst themselves. So they mightn't agree with all of that, because there might have been dark days when somebody was late.
All I can say is whenever Daddy started building this house, he didn't finish it. So he waited till COVID started, and who had to finish it?
Of uses.
He had 5.
All around him. So one day we were up on the scaffolding every
Sounds
morning
like a
during
very
COVID.
smart man to me.
Oh, well, wait till you hear. That's my point I'm going to make. Every morning we'd get up at 7 a.m. Daddy'd come round, knock on the doors, everybody out of the bed, up onto the scaffolding.
Even Peter?
Even Peter.
It came to the point he used to throw blocks into the cement mixer and just press the green button outside.
we had a
That was the alarm clock we got.
we had a foghorn for Peter, but one day James, he's in Boston, and James just had enough of all this work, and James just threw the towel down. He goes, "You're the worst father ever," he says, and he just stomped off.
No, I think it was called payback for all the running, all the taxiing, all the dinners, everything that happened.
We were nearly bankrupt, and I said to myself, "We're never going to get this house finished, so we're going to put them to use here."
Bankrupt, you weren't paying your workers, Jonathan.
Oh my gosh. So Eugene, as you have the microphone in your hand there, eldest of the
Some burden.
the 7 McKennas. Okay. This is the counselling session happening now here.
Oh, it's brutal.
Mickey, you can try and keep a straight face there. I'm sure you've heard it all before.
And I'm going to say, as the oldest, everybody thinks, oh, you know, set an example. The rest of them do absolutely not. I've got myself into the worst rut. Sinead's all right, but when it comes to a gig, it's like you've created your own monster. Peter rocks up. Daniel's decent. Katrina will rock up. James, Kieran will rock up. Oh, jeepers! It's tight going. Like it's tight
Poor
going.
Eugene. You can see why he plays the fiddle. He plays the smallest fiddle in the world for himself there. Oh my goodness. So then in the middle then we have somewhere who's next in line then? So Eugene's the eldest, who's next? Oh, Daniel. Right, I did not know this. Right, well, this is what we're learning.
I look young, you see.
You do. So tell me then your instrument,
I play accordion.
accordion, yeah. So how then did you choose the accordion, or why was it your instrument?
I don't really remember. Mum and Dad will probably be able to tell me how I chose it. I was young, like I was about 6. I was probably 5.
You chose it yourself. You actually, I think you were going to a tin whistles lesson, and you were coming up and saying, "Well, I didn't want to learn a tin whistle. I wanted to learn an accordion." So you were kind of a bit sad looking playing the tin whistles. We thought maybe we'd get him an accordion, and we were going. Literally, it was all opportunistic, even opportunities all the way. So we were going through. There was a wee music shop at a Fleadh in Connacht, and we saw an accordion, and Daniel liked it, and it was a gentleman from Tyrone selling it actually, and that was his first accordion. So he graduated to other levels then after that. Yeah.
Do you remember that at all?
Seeing the accordion in the window, was it?
It was somewhere along there, and maybe it was sitting on a table, and you started to go back over to it and point at it.
Was it O'Neill's?
Very small.
O'Neill's.
I think it was
Our
O'Neill's.
own shadows as children, you know. We would have fought with our own shadow. So like, if I played the fiddle, Daniel had to play the accordion. James didn't want to be the same as Daniel. He had to get a concertina, and that was part of it too, like the sibling rivalry, like
Okay.
as a child, like yeah.
So who's next then? It's Eugene, and then Daniel, and then who comes next?
James.
James. Who's in Boston.
James
And
in Boston 3.
Then who's number 4?
Myself, yeah.
Sinead,
Sinead.
the middle child, forgotten at mass and everything.
So you are the middle child.
Middle child syndrome is a thing. Like, I was serving mass a few years in primary school, and Dad would. There would probably be 2 cars in at some stages if there wasn't. We used to have
If there wasn't a bus.
We used to have an 8-seater, but there was 9 of us. So we always had to squish an extra one in. Sorry to the police if you're listening to this. Always broke a few wee laws that way. But you know, like maybe sometimes with Daddy'd have us squished into the van too. So with Daddy we would go to mass, and then Mummy would go on home, and then Daddy would end up chatting at the end of mass, and then he'd forget that we were even existed, like we even were there. So I'd be serving mass, and Daddy would scamper on home too. And next thing I'd come out after working very hard, come down into the car park, and there wouldn't be a sinner about. I was just looking. I have a few memories. One was coming into the car park, knowing about. I wasn't old enough to have a phone. So I remember waiting on like someone local to come by just to notice me, and everybody, I exist. I promise. Middle child here left in the car park. So I remember one day a local came by and like, "Are you all right? Yeah, are you one of the McKennas?" I was like, "I am, yeah." Where's your parents? I was like, "Well, that's my question too." So then they took me into McKenna's, into the local pub. And we got Dazzy to ring home, and someone came into the town and lifted me. Well, that happened on numerous occasions. But
She's
like,
coping with it really well.
I'm
You know,
actually-
she's dealt with it really
I know
well.
the trauma. It was hard to get through the trauma at the start, but you know we're dealing well.
To be fair about part of the story, whilst it might have been a 9-seater, there was usually people that helped out with lifts. And you could have Auntie Marion or somebody else that would pick a few up, and everybody would be gathered up maybe on the Monaghan Road in Clogher at her house. So there was always an assumption if you weren't there and seen that somebody would pick you up and you'd be brought there. So
Every time you watch that first episode, you watch the opening sequence of Home Alone, you kind of get it.
I am
You
Kevin
understand
O.
how
I
it can
am
happen.
Kevin.
You're Kevin.
And before that, Daddy, didn't you used to take us across to Granny's in the highest van?
Oh yeah.
Either
Yeah, a good experience one time. Children always went to Granny. She looked after them during the day, and I used to leave them up in the morning and then take them back in the evening again. So we were coming down the road one evening anyway, and down the old Monaghan Road.
But now, Lynette, red highest van,
Yeah.
slide open back door. There's maybe an armchair from a 3-piece sofa in it, just for a bit of luxury, and then there's about 6 or 7 bar stools from different bars.
Not really, no, not really. That's
You're
exactly.
painting a picture here, Eugene.
That was used
That is the picture. Dark back roads crossing the border,
Yes, kind of used.
and foot and mouth.
Was there a bar in it as well?
But anyway, we're proceeding down the road anyway, and we're turning a few corners in by Clahermart, and on out the road. We'll take a left then at the Corrick Junction, which will take us up home. We always went the back road, the quickest road. So anyway, I noticed this patrol car behind me, and I thought, well, I'll keep an eye on him, like, 'cause he seems to be tailing me here, you know. So the car, I says, this will tell the story now. I think maybe James or someone was in the front of me. I says, well, no, now if this squad car is following me because I'm indicating now turn left, we'll just watch the reaction. So swung in left, indicated, just going up the hill slowly, and the next thing, I got the flashing lights. So I said, what's going on here? So anyway, I jumped out of the van. Anyway, the policewoman come up, and she put on her cap, and she says, would you mind, have you anything to declare? And I said, no, I haven't. And she said, would you mind stepping out and opening the door? I said, no problem at all. I says, I'll be only too willing to help you. So walked out round the back of the door, opened the back, the highest door opened up like this here. And she just was looking in, her eyes opened about 10 times bigger than they were. She says, I wasn't expecting to see this.
What was there?
She was looking here, there was about 5 children in the back of the van, sitting on stools.
And toolboxes.
Toolboxes and tools, and you name it. That was it. In them days, there was only a 2-seater in the front of the van, you know.
Oh my
Right
god.
time in the foot and mouth, and you explained this, that as we were going around the back roads, she was following us, and every time her lights turned, she thought there was kettle in the back of the van. Turned out.
Yes.
She was looking for calves.
She's looking for calves and she
She
found children.
Heifers and bulls, all right. Nice one.
So that was a bit of an experience that time.
This week's Music at Madden's is brought to you by Tyrone Trad, the team behind Tyrone Tradfest, the first musical festival of its kind in a county that is mad for traditional music. Clean mad, as they'd say around these parts. The festival is based in the heart of the county in Ballygawley, and Tyrone Tradfest aims to celebrate all that is good about the music of Tyrone through concerts and workshops, plenty of sessions, and also the characters who make the music come alive. And it will be back next year, first weekend of December 2026, the 4th, 5th and the 6th. Make sure that Tyrone Tradfest is in the diary. Up Tyrone! In the heart of Tyrone, Canavan's is a really convenient stop-off or destination. It boasts 3 function rooms, a bar, restaurant, plenty of parking, and big plans for the months ahead. Extra accommodation and a fitness and recovery suite are coming in 2026. So check out Canavan's of Garvaghy on Instagram for up-to-date menus and offers.
They would turn up in places, where you wouldn't expect, and people wouldn't think. So I remember one time we were in Tubbercurry, just when Mark was talking about that, and we'd have the caravan, and we'd always travel like in numbers. So you'd have the 9 of them. So maybe Katrina might have been born. She was a small baby, and everybody's in the caravan. But we'd have the awning. But it was a wet day once, and James went round looking for someone to play tunes. And if he heard something middling going on in a tent, he'd pull up the zip and say tunes, So we went to this tent anyway, and this little fella from Japan was playing his flute. And James said to him, tunes. And this man, lovely gentleman, says, yes. So he put away his flute and he come and he gathered, and it was teeming rain. And he opened, and James brought him into the awning and gave him a box to sit on. Yeah. And tea, yeah. Okay. So James opened the caravan door and just shouted into us tunes. So it was a bit like the van. So Eugene came out, then Daniel came out, and then Sinead came out. And he goes, so he's sitting there and he goes, children. Lots of children. and then Peter came out, and then Kieran came out, and I think Katrina was still a wee toot at the time. And he looked round and he says, more? so he scratched his head for about 5 minutes, and the next thing, this is what would happen. They just all burst into a good tune, and turned out his name was Kozo Toyota. And they became big friends, and they became great friends there afterwards. And I think they've recently met when Sinead and James was over doing the expo over in Japan.
Me and Sinead met him in Osaka and Tokyo.
And you've been friends.
He's coming over in January.
He's coming over in January.
So you've been friends since that
Well, we kept in contact.
October period session.
Kept in
Sligo.
touch. Us-
Oh my gosh, that's amazing! But that's a brilliant story. But the community and the family of traditional music, like you are the quintessential best examples of a trad family. And I suppose there's an awful lot of families around the country who are all well known in traditional music circles. But then there's also then the wider family and the friendships and the networks that it's created. And I'd say, maybe that's what the beauty of it as well is obviously the music, but the friendships are really key to everything that traditional music brings.
I think one of the things I remember us not having was we didn't have expectations. Sometimes you hear families that have expectations. You want to do a leaving cert or you want to do your A levels and get certain results. We didn't expect results. We wanted music, and it was just for the love of music. So we had a good interest in whatever it took in the journey to develop music. So maybe getting involved locally in your branch and, supporting Kyoto, bringing the children. I remember Eugene actually saying to us when he was very young, how come you have to travel out of Åher to get music? So we had a chat one night and said, maybe we could bring music into Åher. So we started a little Åher Trad Festival, which went on for about 4 or 5 years. And we brought musicians up. We had Derek Hickey, John Wynne, Dermot O'Brien, Pádraig McGovern, and we do like what Stephen and James have been doing, but we did it in a small scale with no expectations. And then the local branches got involved, and it became a massive thing for a town that never had traditional music really exposed in it. So it kind of created a little family, drive. Locally, it became more familiar in the community, and you could see more children and families around learning the music and then coming to the house to learn tunes, to hear tunes, and just to be part of it all. So where they've brought themselves to today, individually or collectively, is really on their own merits, because we wanted them to learn. And as Martin said at the start, we didn't have opportunities. I lived in Carrickrow on the other side of the border. There was no opportunities other than going to True Accordion Band, and you learned how to play piano accordion, you learned how to play the drums, you learned marching band tunes. We were, limited in opportunities to travel and get that exposure. So when it came to, I suppose, a shared passion for music with no major expectations other than enjoyment of it, it brought us with the family to where they are today now in their enjoyment of music. And I suppose I still don't have any expectations in that I want my child to be or my family to be. I just want them to be happy, enjoy the music, and share the connectivity, because it seems to work. You mightn't get them to wash up the dishes, but you'll get a bit of music, so there's a little bit of payback in that too, the enjoyment that we get.
So yes, we're never
Good to know that there's no expectation, Mum.
Well, we've kind of got past you, Peter, like we've give up on that a long time ago.
But yes, we're never like a fla mommy or daddy then. Never I suppose that there's that stereotype of the parents who always want the children to win, and it's all about the winning and the medals and whatever, the titles, all that sort of thing. There was never...
Well, there was certainly the military operation of going to the FLA. Remember one time Martin would have the sheet done out of all the competitions, so it's a bit like Katrina or Sinead not wanting to be left in the car park. You had to write down where they were all going to be, and you'd put a wee message in their pocket and say, when you go, present that to the caller, because you might have 5 or 6 of them competing
at one time,
in 5 or 6 competitions at one particular day, so that kind of brought us to having to be, I suppose, driven and organised.
We're all wearing ankle tags too at the FA.
You're all what?
We're all wearing ankle tags each too at the FA.
Well, that would have been a good idea at the time if you had been a bit more creative. We could have done that.
Oh, hang on.
Now, there was one fla that Mummy actually there was just so much going on, and Kieran was only a wee baby at the time, and he was in need for a nappy change. Tyrone fla. And I remembered, me and Peter were very small as well, and Kieran Mummy had stripped him down in the middle of the car and was about to change the nappy when she went into the back of the car to get something, and the wind or something had closed the door shut with the keys in it, and Kieran was in the nip. Sorry, Kieran, I know you've no leg to stand on here, but it's the truth. and Kieran was rolling about the middle of the car, happy as Larry, playing with the
Your
keys.
heart was in your mouth.
And the car locked, and everyone coming out of the competitions peering in at this naked baby floating about the middle of the car, not a care in the world. And Mummy didn't know what to do.
Poor Mary.
She couldn't get the key, an extra set of keys, so we had to get the guards to come and pry open the back window. And I remember the guards saying to me and Peter, whoever gets in there first gets £1. So me and Peter were fighting to get through the back window. And we got in anyway, and we got the keys out. But it was hilarious, like watching like Clodagh Holland and all the like ones like coming out of the competitions, like looking in at and we were like, oh my god, this is so embarrassing. Kieran's naked.
Oh, with the wee pad. Oh, Mary, God love you.
I suppose it's not by way of payback to Peter, but when Peter got in, he had as much wit as the baby at the time, because we said, Peter, open the doors. He started to play with the baby. We were like, oh no. We were knocking the doors. So this went on for about 5 minutes, and it became a sort of a pantomime then, because they were saying like, are you going to have to get somebody bigger in now to get the two of them out?
And at that stage, there was a full audience around the car. And
It was like a flag concert.
it was a side show to the flag, wasn't it?
In your defence, so Peter, what age were you?
I don't know, maybe about 2 or 3. 2.
Oh, okay. Oh my.
Or 4.
Oh my gosh.
Kieran's first performance.
Oh my god. So whenever you get together like this, is this what it's like all the time? It's like the stories keep coming.
We don't get on at all.
No, well, evidently.
To be honest, we are very mild today because it was Tyrone Tradfest last night, so the farm is just almost. But yeah, when
And
we
you
get
were
together,
performing at Tyrone Tradfest last night, so the McKenna family were on stage.
we were on stage last night. All of us siblings with the mighty Mickey Farron and Lauren O'Neill, and they're like, as I said last night in the microphone, they're the two that steady the ship. When the gloves come off and the boxing starts, they're the referees. So we did a gig last night, and we're delighted to announce as well that in spring 2026 we've starting to record, and we're gonna release our debut album. So that's the next project for us as siblings.
Oh, fantastic.
And we'll probably maybe try and do a few gigs along the way, but nothing too serious.
So I want to bring in the youngest McKenna here. She's been sitting very quiet there.
Are you sure?
Oh, I am. Katrina, of anything I'm doing today, I am so sure I want to hear from you, because I'm telling you,
Sometimes it's best to keep quiet.
I
in
don't
this
think it's,
situation.
you are brilliant. And no, but what's it like then for you to, listen to all these stories? Because a lot of these things happened before you came along, or else you wouldn't remember because you are the youngest. And as the youngest member of the family, then what's it like? Like, do you have to keep Eugene in check all the time, or?
Yes. Unfortunately, no, they're not too bad, You just keep up with the times sometimes.
And as the youngest, then, are you mummy and daddy's pet?
Oh, well, lost in that question.
Katrina's their babysitter now.
You're the only one left at the house now, are you?
Yeah, that's right. Peace and quiet.
You actually get a bit of time to yourself then to practice your tunes.
Oh, yeah, sure. I know.
And tell me this then, so you play the fiddle as well?
Yeah, I'm the fourth fiddler in the house, and also play a bit of piano, and we're all grown up as a whistle as well, so.
And I saw you in Madden's a few months ago now at this point, and you were gigging there along with the team. And was there 3? Was somebody else as well?
Oh, yeah, Vinny and Dunn.
That's who it was, yes. And it looked to me like you were really enjoying the performance element of your music.
Yeah, I suppose it's nice for a change when I'm playing with the siblings. It's nice to go out and meet new people. Like, if it wasn't for, I'd say, doing them gigs in Madden's, I wouldn't have met Etienne or any of my other friends. So, yeah, it's a nice.
And what age are you now?
I'm 16 now. So.
16. Oh my goodness, Katrina. I remember you coming into the world. It's mad, Mary. Like, just how you've watched you all grow up.
Just as you said, it's an interesting dimension to watch Katrina now, who's, I suppose, capitalising on her older siblings, because as soon as they come in, she's ready to pounce for another tune or something she has learned or they share. But she also has her own, I suppose, her own space with her teenage friends that she's known and she's grown up with. So in September there, it was lovely. She managed to have, I think it was 10 or 11 friends, Katrina, from Canavan, Antrim. We had Paddy Walls, and we had Griffins and McGoverns.
Morrows.
We had John, we had Rooney's from Manor Hamilton, and from Monaghan. We had a lot of musicians from across, and they came and had a sleepover, a trad sleepover.
Stop it.
So it was promised that went on from the Fla. So these children played till about 4:30 or 5 in the morning in the house. It was just Katrina there, and there was sleeping bags set up everywhere. And the next morning at 10 o'clock, they were back playing tunes. So it was lovely because that was, I suppose that's Katrina's space where she's making up for not having the siblings. She's compensating with a lot of fabulous friends that she's meeting along the way, and families that come and go and have the tunes. So it's a lovely space, I think, to be in. So we're getting that enjoyment as well.
It's from seeing her flourish like that, and finding her own way space.
Maybe we just got fed up looking at the rest of them. No, I'm only joking.
So, Mickey, how have you found it coming into a family like this, where there is such energy, there is such a fantastic dynamic? They're all incredibly talented. They're all incredibly opinionated as well, because if there's something going on, or they think that you're going to hear about it. So, how do you fit in?
I think...
and your format as well.
It's been very hard work to settle in with a lot of Tyrone people. Too many for my liking. No, I'm only joking. No, they've been very good to me now, and I'm sure it's great crack. There's always music, and there's always something happening in the house as well. So I remember whenever I first came down to the house, I nearly set the house on fire.
You were? Oh, Mickey, I don't believe you.
Now, in my defence, I don't think it was me, but I got the blame for it. Like, I was getting fire starter for about a month.
So that was your nickname then, from then on?
Mickey's also an only child, so he's came into our house with there's 7 children, and he's completely had to readapt his whole brain system.
It's been very tough.
But then, in that way though, is it, was there a curiosity there about how this works with 7 children, with, having 6 siblings when you're coming in as an only child?
Well, I think it's great, because my house is obviously very quiet. And there's always, as I say, whenever I first started calling around, there was always, me and Peter might have had a few tunes, for sitting doing nothing. There's always plenty of opportunities just to sit and play a few tunes and have a bit of crack. And
class.
Deadly, like that.
Well, that's brilliant, isn't it? And then what is it about you, do you think, because Mary was saying there earlier on that there's never any expectation, and there was never any pressure put on you to excel or to be top of your game, yet each one of you is an absolutely phenomenal musician in your own right. And then coming together, I've only seen you perform together as a family a couple of times, and I'm really excited to see how that has progressed. But what do you think it is then in you that there's that drive to be, very specific, very, very exact, to the great pride you take in your music?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's we're all individual players in a lot of ways too. Like Daniel's playing folk music. I'm playing. I'll not go into what I'm playing, but
go on. What are you playing?
No, I play the pipes. That's enough.
He should be ashamed of it, yeah.
We all do our own thing, but a lot of it will come from the social buzz we get out of music and meeting people and. But coming back together, like we do play a lot together, but you'll see a lot of us. You go to Fla or Milltown Malby, you might go into Michael Law's bar and you could see Daniel in the front bar, or maybe with Eugene or a few others. And you could go on down to the second side of the section and there'd be 2 other of us. And then there could be 2 or 3 of us down in the smoking area. We'll all be doing our own thing sometimes.
Yeah.
But a lot of our friends are our own friends, are friends of our friends, kind of way.
A friend of ours, Ronan Sweeney, said once, he says, when you're in Milltown Malby, he says, they say in life you're never more than 10 foot from a rat. He says, when you're in Milltown Malby, you're never more than 10 foot from a McKenna.
What do you think what is it about your dynamic as siblings though that keeps you all close? Because not every family has that.
Like, we'll give abuse and we take abuse, and I think that's the motto really. Like, you have to be thick-skinned.
Yeah, but also we all have the same kind of group of friends, like the Sweeneys, the Mitchells, Rachel Masterson up there in Longford, Gary Curley, like Tag Mulligan. Like, we all hang around with the same bunch of good people, and it kind of keeps us socialising in the same environments as well.
Yeah.
And then sure, we're kind of stuck with each other. You know what I mean?
And whenever you're in an atmosphere like this now, where there's as many 5 years together with your mummy and daddy, and I know we're missing James and Kieran, but when you hear your mummy and daddy talking there about the way it was a military operation to get you to the flat, to get all this organised, the things that they did, I can't imagine what they've done for you as you were growing up. And then now, Eugene, you're probably thinking of, or maybe you're not thinking about all of this when you're getting married now next February. What do you say to your mummy and daddy? Do you know how do you look at them and like what they've done for you?
Well, all I can say first is they didn't have enough eyes in their heads, because you're hearing the nice side from mum, you're hearing the nice side from dad. But I remember whenever we were about 8 or 9 years old, I was oldest, about 10. Daniel was younger, and every year there was another child. So mum and dad had their eyes on the younger ones. Me and Daniel used to nip in at the tea time at the local session in the hut in Clincull, which is 5 miles out the road from here. And just before the break, we'd get a single pin off the wall, off the drawing board, and we'd take out the polystyrene cups just before the tea, and we'd put a single hole in every cup.
You brats. Oh my gosh.
The tea
You
would start being
brats.
poured, and we'd sit in the corner smirking and grinning at just wee drips of tea going over everybody's clothes.
And I was just going to ask you, are you so proud of them, Mary? But obviously not.
Somebody has just put a pin in my polystyrene cup.
You have to pass the microphone over to your mummy.
That's what happened. My hot water bottle was leaking.
Oh,
Just saying, I think somebody has just put a pin in my polystyrene cup.
you rascal.
Oh no, but look, that's all part of growing up. No, like honestly, we owe a lot to them.
Well, they
And
weren't-
you were
yeah.
asked, mummy, or Lynette was actually asking a question too about like, well, how are we all like ended up playing staying at music? Well, we were definitely, I'd say you probably agree, but we were spoilt with opportunities. And like, every summer you got to go. We didn't get to pick where we were going, but like we always knew we were going to be getting to go to either Tubbercurry or Drumshanbo or the Willie Clancy. And then by the time you're 16 or 17, you're just itching to get at it.
Yourself.
With all your different friend groups and all that part of growing up. So definitely the opportunities definitely helped massively. So
Rather than like mum and dad following us down the town to like watch us at every session, you just let us go off and meet our own friends at that age and do our own thing, which was a good thing and a bad thing. But no, mostly it was a good thing because you made loads of friends in a relaxed environment. Made loads of friends, play loads of music. Like.
But you became independent in yourselves as well, probably,
But little did they know, Lynette, there was little space because there was a lot of mummies and daddies at these flats with children, and
There's a network.
They were going to let their child loose with the McKenna. They needed to know that that it would be good fun, and so we were very fortunate to know a lot of like-minded families that we met along the way, and everybody got it. They wanted their children to enjoy music and have that independence in a safe space. So there might have been maybe the Sweeney family up at the other end of the town, and Jerry Sweeney and Rita would be keeping an eye, and reporting back, and then maybe Martin down to the other side, and I might have been back at the Caravan making a wee pot of stew or something just to keep the show on the road. So there was always, something going on. The Mulligans up in Dundalk as well. They'd be getting lifts maybe out of Milltown to something, and there was people like John Hayden. I have to mention John. John was priceless. He would be in Milltown Malby, and himself and Martin used to go off with Rosie O'Neill and a few to look for sessions out of the town if it was too busy.
To Quincy.
And John would he was like a rally man. He could just God avert him. He was fantastic. He would lead the way because he knew where all the good secret places were to go for a tune, and Martin would load them up. And they'd get into cars and with other friends, and then they could go off and get exposure to what was going on at sessions and meet other families and get a taste of the music and the culture in the area as well. So it was a lovely way to not just play with their friends, but just to get a flavour of what's going on in the area and what the traditional music scene is like. Outside of what the performances are, just in the town around the bars.
Like at the same time too, we do get an overdose of each other, that's
It's like any family.
Absolutely, the fights start, and like I think it works well with us all living in different places, but we meet up at the weekends and that kind of crack.
Yeah, and maybe that's why now's the right time to make the album because everything's kind of just fallen into place for you, maybe.
Yeah. And the album has been the guts of 2 years, but it was because we've done it on our own terms.
Yeah.
And not letting it kind of have a grip of us.
Yeah.
Where it becomes like as I said at the start of the podcast, a wee bit of a monster that you create.
Yeah.
To just let it happen when it happens, and I've learned this. So that helps. You just have to be led back.
Well, I think laid back is a good way to describe the McKenna family, I would have to say. And many other descriptions as well, because you're just really kind, generous. You turn up at anything you're asked to do. Incredibly talented. You carry it so lightly. And the crack has been brilliant today as well. And it feels like, this is only like part one and we'll keep going. There's all these conversations end up in the same way. You know that there's so much more still to hear, so many yarns, so many more yarns to hear as well, and so much more music to talk about, and festivals and poor Mary was hung out there a couple of times today. So anyway, your poor mummy and your poor daddy. But it's just brilliant to chat to you today. And like now, whenever you look back at, just to finish, Martin and Mary, whenever you look back when you were saying when the children came along, there was nothing round our, there was no music. Now we're sitting here in Garvaghy. It's not too far away. Tyrone Tradfest is just up and running. And you can feel it, there's only better to come. It's going to get bigger. It's going to get better. There's a demand for it. People are copping on to how good this is. How does that make you feel? This thing you invested in, you recognised all those years ago, is really taking off.
It's good to see. It's good to see it growing. Like it's good to see your branch doing well, and you're giving up your time as volunteers to run classes and to, as Mary said earlier, about running the festival in Ahar for 4 or 5 years. So you're trying to sow the seeds and promote your culture in your area because you love the music yourself.
Yeah.
And I suppose when our children then come along and learned instruments and had a good passion for it, it's great to see this development now. It's great to see the Tradfest happening. It's promoting music. It's bringing music to new people that wouldn't have ever been introduced to it, And
I think more than ever, though, Lynette, looking at the generations that are growing up around us, and looking at families starting out today, I think it's fabulous that they're getting these opportunities brought again. Like we were on a small scale with the Ahar Festival and with Kyotis, and it's great to see that music belongs to everybody and all generations. And more than ever, children need to be taken into a creative world with their hands and with their thinking, because there's so much digital. I'm very conscious of that now, and I see that as hugely different to what life was like 30 years ago when Eugene was born. So there's the age now exposed. But how it all was coming about, there was no phones, and coming to this time of the year, you weren't buying phones for Christmas. You were investing in maybe a piano or a concertina or a banjo, or putting a deposit down for the following year. But what we have now is I can see an emptiness in children's lives if they don't have something more than digital technology. So to be able to go to a concert like last night, go to sessions in the town, go to workshops yesterday, it brings that back to me that, it's lovely to see that continuation through another generation. So I say fair play, and, it's good that the family here want to be part of that because it's part of the area. And as Martin said, Pete and Pat McKenna, the granduncles, they played a lot of music in Ballygolly, so it's all part of that connectivity, intergenerational, and I think it gives...
The hall we were playing in last night, our granduncles played in a Keeley band, the Patsy Farrell Keeley band from this area. They were both Monaghan men, and Pat had to obtain a visa to live here from the south, to move just 5 miles over the border and work here, and they played in that hall in the 40s and 50s. With a Keeley band, so it was good, being there last night, being able to say that, this is where 70 years before us.
It's all just come full circle.
It's cool,
and I think also from your perspective, having travelled the country and know every corner that there is where music's concerned, and knowing the music of those places and the people, isn't it lovely to have something in your area where you can bring people into it and show them where you come from, and be very proud of that as well. And I think that's definitely happening here with Tyrone Tradfest, and long may it continue. Thanks so much. Dies gur míle maigah for my ansaltas and Cora Fabulous, fabulous chat, and yeah, to be continued. Guramaigov. And happy Christmas, Nolly Conadeve.
Agus tú hían.
Oh, and just to conclude as well, Lynette, this year Clare Valley Kilters are hosting Tyrone Fla. So that's another promotion as well.
And a huge thank you
to
to
in Ballygolly, so we're looking forward to that. Another major event.
And a big thanks to Tyrone Tradfest for having us.
Oh, lovely up Tyrone.